Welcome to 216, a link to the Past Randomizer podcast. I am your host, Gear Agent. Well, I haven't started Season 5 quite yet. It is the end of November, and I said I would be taking the rest of the year off. It's only partially true. We do have some bonus episodes for you this holiday season, but I will not be hosting them. I've got a guest host. TracieM has graciously stepped in, and we'll be doing some guest hosting duties here for the next few weeks. And today on the show, we've got Koi. So a really, really fun conversation between TracieM and Koi. It was awesome just to kind of sit back and listen to this one and not be a part. And I think Tracie does an excellent job of being a guest host. So that's the little bonus that I've been kind of teasing in the Discord. We will be having some 216 episodes. It just won't be with me. It will be with TracieM. I hope you all enjoy it. And then Season 5 will be coming next year. I've already got people lined up that I want to talk to. A lot of people that I met at SGL. SGL happened a few weeks ago now, and been debating on whether or not I come back and do a show for it. But I think I'll save all my experiences at SGL for Season 5, because I don't want to take over Tracie's show here. But I will say SGL was a lot of fun. It was great to meet everyone. And yeah, definitely a highlight was just getting a chance to put faces to names and meeting everyone in real life. It was really cool. So I'm not going to make the intro too long, but I do have an announcement, and that is 216 Podcast will be hosting a co-op Crosskeys tournament. So the tournament starts January 3rd, the beginning of next year. It is a Swiss tournament. It will be run very similar to the way the regular Crosskeys tournament is run. We'll have 5 to 6 weeks of Swiss, depending on how many teams register. And then the top 4 of the Swiss will play in a best of 3 bracket. So it won't go too long, but it's something new. It's something different. And I'm all about co-op. And I thought we'd stretch our legs with some co-op Crosskeys. I feel like with co-op Retrants, it sort of like got everyone's feet wet with the idea of co-op and entrance, but Retrants is just different. I'm a fan of co-op Retrants, but I think co-op Crosskeys can be done, and I think it can be done well, and I think it can be fun. And I think this is going to be a good tournament. Pre-registration for all 216 listeners is open now. I'm going to keep that open for 1 week, and then we will open up registration for everyone in the community on the 11th of December. Try to get announcements in like the main Discord. I'm sure word will get out. But if you're a listener to the show, I've included a link in the show notes and in the announcements to pre-register for the tournament. This will help give me an idea of how many people are going to join, because I have no idea. I have no idea if we're going to get 10 teams or 20 teams or 30 teams. I have no idea. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So when I created the league, one of the reasons that the league succeeded beyond what I had imagined is because we were on speed gaming. Rando was in a completely different place in 2019. There was the main tournament, and then there was the dailies, and that was all that was on speed gaming. The league had a lot of eyes on it when speed gaming picked us up, and now it's kind of become common to have your tournament hosted by speed gaming or ZSR or one of the bigger channels. I made the decision for the co-op Crosskeys not to be hosted by any of the big channels. Looking to jank restream this tournament. Basically, the idea is to not put restreaming first and just let people play. I will have official 216 layouts for everyone. So if they want to do some restreaming, if you want to restream teams that you follow, or you just want to see a restream of something, you can use one of the 216 layouts. I'll have those available before the tournament begins. You don't have to use those, but it'll be fun. There'll be no call for trackers, no call for comms. It's all about the racers. It's all about having fun and not worrying about restreams and just trying to have fun playing co-op Crosskeys. So 216 tournament, the first ever, maybe the only, I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. We're starting at January 3rd. Co-op Crosskeys, get your teams in and pre-registered, and then we'll have registration open up in the community very shortly after that. All right. Enough for me. Let's get to the interview with Koi. Take it away, TracieM.
All right, so we have Koi with us today. First of all, thank you to Fear Agent for allowing me to be a guest host. One of the first people I thought of in terms of having as a person on was Koi. I mean, when it comes to Link to the Past, who plays more than you do, Koi?
I'm sure there's some hardcore speedrunners that still play more than me, but as far as like randomizer and streaming it, I don't think anybody really plays more than me at this point. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate into skill so much, but
I know what you mean.
I do love the game and do play it quite a bit.
All right. Well, I mean, you and I go back to 2019. The first time I saw your name was you, for whatever reason, the 2019 SG qualifiers. You were doing a ton of commentary for that, and that's the first time I started watching you. And then I signed up for a daily, and you were my first Link to the Past partner.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you obviously don't. Yeah, because it was funny because I'd been doing Super Metroid stuff for a couple of years, and I'd done one SMZ3, and I believe your words were, "It's just SMZ3 without the SM."
Well, it's accurate, right?
But yeah, that was also around the time you were pushing for partner and all that stuff. But let's start with your history. When did you first play Link to the Past?
I was just a little boy. Very, very young. I can't tell you how old, but we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but my mom got us a Super Nintendo. And that was one of the 2 games we had for it. The other being Super Mario World. She knew how to pick them. Yeah,
no, those are two of the best for sure.
No, my mom, she's not really a video game person. She likes to cut the grass in Kakariko. That's about as far as she goes, is playing Zelda. But I played that like nonstop. I remember going into AOL chat rooms to try and figure out, how do you open Turtle Rock? I can't figure it out,
Oh no.
It's complicated.
I mean, when you're a kid, yeah. I mean, I was a teenager when it came out, so I don't have quite the childhood memories. But
what's not super obvious is you have to actually transition the screen to the left in order to reset the pegs. You can't just mirror like you would think. So that's why I couldn't figure it out.
All right, because I had to put the pegs in a certain order, but you did figure it out.
Oh yeah.
And when you beat the game the first time, did you get everything?
I couldn't tell you. That was so long ago, but I probably got as much as I could find.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I put Link to the Past down for a long time after that.
Mm-hmm.
It always remained one of my favorite games. And then when I discovered like emulators, I'd pull up that and other games every now and then, replay them for fun. But it wasn't until, I don't know, like 2017, 2018, where I even discovered that Randomizer existed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still, relatively new by that point, but it wasn't like new.
Right.
And I was watching SGDQ or AGDQ, or maybe AGDQ, I can't remember. It was like 2017, but it was Ajneb.
Okay.
As made famous by the Houlihan tile, Ajneb, that guy, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
He was doing a Final Fantasy VII any percent run.
Okay.
At GDQ, and it was like a 7-hour run. And his couch was so into it, and they were so much fun to watch. I watched the whole thing, 7 hours long. I thought, this is so great. And I'm like, I'm following this guy. And it turns out he also plays Link to the Past Randomizer.
He does play Link to the Past Randomizer.
So I started looking into it from that, and I started playing it all the time. And like within like a couple weeks of playing my first seed, I'm like, I need to stream this. I'm going to start streaming this just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't really planning on making money at it or anything. And I just started streaming it every day for like 8 hours, just trying to get better, trying to finish seeds, trying to figure out, how do you kill Trinex? How do you blind is so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just, within a few months, it became clear, you know what, I could do this. I like this way better than working in grocery stores.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like compared to grocery stores?
I have not looked back since. So, like since then, I've been playing Link to the Past Randomizer online on Twitch for like 20 to 40 hours a week.
Now you're
over
not
5 years.
Now you're not the only person that does viewer seeds, but I would say that you're the one that does it maybe the most.
I do it a lot less than I used to now, but I do still do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did that start? When did you start saying, you know what, send me your seeds? And
originally it was just just because I didn't want to race because I didn't know what I was doing. Like why would I join a race against Christos Owen or something and lose by 2 hours? Like what's the point of that, right? So I would ask people to send me your worst seeds. Give me like the grossest seeds you can find, and plandos. Oh, people love giving you plandos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I built up like a huge backlog of viewer seeds. At one point we had like 40 something viewer seeds, and I could play at most 3 a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when I finally got into racing, which took like over a year of actually playing the game before I felt comfortable in a race, viewer seeds have taken a backseat to like ladder races and such.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know I've enjoyed a lot of that stuff, but like with the ladder seeds, you didn't do the ladder right away. That was something that came.
No, I didn't join the ladder until like I don't know, maybe like 5-6 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm. And I early on, I mean, did it just not line up with your schedule initially, or?
Yeah, that's why I like the SG dailies, because they were always at this time on these days.
Yep.
Never changed at the time, and they had one in the afternoon and one in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Dunca made the ladder was on like a rotating schedule. So it would be at 9 o'clock on Monday, and then at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, and then at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. And I was like, well, I can't do this. I can't make this work with my schedule, because I want my schedule to be starting at this time every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it just didn't line up. So I just kept playing Gear Seeds and let the ladder be the ladder.
Mm-hmm. But what changed your mind when you started playing the ladder?
Oh, I made partner. Like my priorities changed.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I had more freedom with what I did with my schedule, and so like if a ladder race didn't line up quite right, I could I could just play Donkey Kong Country 2 for an hour, and then switch over to Link to Past. It didn't have to line up perfectly, but when you're pushing for partner, anytime you change games, you lose a bunch of viewers, and that makes it impossible to meet those numbers you need.
Now let's go back a little bit more to your history. Now you didn't start playing Link to the Past, and like you said, until 2017. What other video games did you play? You said you had Super Mario World as a kid. I know you've talked about some MMOs in your history. Let's talk about that stuff a little bit.
So growing up, I'm a big Final Fantasy nerd. I love Final Fantasy, all things Final Fantasy. The PlayStation 1 and 2 era Final Fantasy games, I know intimately. Played those all the time. Was a member of like online forums where we discussed the Final Fantasy games, and I've written like walkthroughs and things like that for it. And then beyond that, I was super into World of Warcraft for a long time, and I put way too many hours into that. I can't play it anymore though, because I can't be trusted to play MMOs.
Yeah, I think we've heard, I don't know. You're not the first person I've heard on this show say something like that. Just gets a little bit too much, I guess.
I've played and quit WoW maybe like 3 or 4 times. And every time I quit it was because, you come to this realization, wow, this game that has no value whatsoever is more important than everything else in my life. That's not healthy. But then a year later, you're like, man, I really want to play WoW again. It's so easy to forget. So now I'm a moratorium on all things MMO. I don't play MMOs anymore. I just can't be trusted.
Yeah, I never got into them. So I guess maybe I'm lucky in that sense. But just, one of those things where just I saw the kind of time it might take. And yeah.
Well, I'm sure somewhere out there are people who are able to do things in moderation. I'm just not one of them.
So you get partner, and is that when you just quit the job and went all out? And I remember.
Oh no, I quit my job before I started streaming.
Oh, okay.
I was not in a very good place, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I just up and left my job. It's like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Screw all this. Never again. And I still had some money left. Okay. So I was just going to wait for my money to run out before I did something else. And in the meantime, I had a lot of time to kill throughout the day, so I started streaming. And I did not stop.
And those early days, like you said, when do you feel like you transitioned from the point of, early on from like, how do I do this? And, I'm terrible at the game and it's taking me, forever to finish a seed, to the point where you're making tutorials and, you're doing commentary and you're... it
was like immediately.
Oh, okay.
All right. No, okay. So like if you go back to my YouTube channel, you look at the guides, you look at like the oldest guides, like there's a marked difference in the execution that I'm portraying in the video.
Okay.
Because I was making the guides as I was learning.
Oh, okay.
I would learn how to do one trick, and then I would make my own guide to show other people how to do this trick in a way that I felt was easier to digest than the stuff that I'd been looking at. Not providing any new information, just like re-giving that information. But I like, even though I'm making a guide on how to fake flipper, I don't know how to do like 100 other things. and then I learn how to do this quick kill or this glitch, and then I make a guide for those. And so if you were to watch my guides in order, you'd probably see like my skill improving over time.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you're one of the first people to put out the guides for anything new that comes out, I think.
No, I don't know about that, but when something new comes along, I do try to make a video for it just to help disseminate that information.
Yeah,
it's not as big a deal now, though. Like it's like mostly the guides, like making my own guides was something for like all the older content, all the things that people have been doing for like decades. It's just like a lot of the like the how-to kind of information out there. It's seemingly always designed for people who already know how to do everything else.
Okay. Yeah.
So like you open the guide and it's like the person making it expects you to already know these 6 things, and here I'm going to teach you how to do the 7th one. So when you're a new player, it's like talk to me like I'm 5 years old, please.
Well, I mean, you do have one of my favorites where you take your mom through the potion camera unlock in pod. That I think is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, she took a lot of coercing to make that video with me.
But it's definitely a fun one. I still mess it up on occasion, though, which makes me sad. So you start playing Link to the Past every day. When did commentary? Because you're one of my favorite commentators. I'm a little sad you haven't done as much lately. But when did you start doing that?
Probably around just like as soon as I discovered the SG dailies. Like when I started being a racer myself. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I had a good enough understanding of how the racing is done and how to route efficiently that I felt like I could talk about other people doing that. And at the time, SG was doing Link to the Past Rando dailies twice a day, every weekday. Yep. And I would sign up for all of them.
You just play
all of them.
And how many did you generally get to do? I mean, because other people.
I mean, they've always had like a shortage of volunteers for just the regular daily races because there's no stakes. It's just like just a regular race.
And that was back when the turnouts for those races were huge.
Yeah, a lot higher than
they are now. Because it was pre-ladder.
Pre-ladder, yeah.
Pre-ladder.
So I remember like the SG dailies were like the main way people did regular casual races, and people liked that they occurred at these static times, so that you knew when a race was going to occur, you knew what mode it was going to be, and you could plan to be there rather than it being a spur of the moment thing, like a pickup race.
Yep, and they they'd have a European friendly time and a more of a North American friendly time, which if you're not holding down a regular job, you can do both. So.
Right.
Did you play the dailies when you weren't commentating them?
Yeah, I'd play the ones like in the evening when I was streaming.
Right, because they used to, if I remember correctly, they used to start right at your stream time.
That's right.
And I know sometimes the frustration of them not starting on time. You're ready to go, and definitely.
I'm just sitting there. I got like 50 people watching who are like, "Is he going to play soon? Should I go somewhere else? Is this pre-recorded?"
Yeah. So and then of course tournaments. I know you entered the 2019 tournament. We'll talk about that in a second. What was your first? Was that your first tournament, or did you do any before that?
That was probably my first one. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I remember that one in particular because I called a race between you and Ace Zero. Ace Zero, who I didn't know at the time, but has become a really good friend of mine.
I was in the group with Ace and Hitaka, and I can't remember the fourth person.
McLaren, I wanted something like that. It's not a name I think it's a name that's still around, but
McLagan,
I think that's it.
Maybe. Anyway, but like Ace and Hitaka were both like SMZ3 players.
Yes.
I remember exactly. And I think I can't remember how it turned out. I think I remember I went to game 5.
Yeah.
I went to series 5.
Right, because you and Ace were playing and I was calling the race, and it just happened to be that day SRL went down, because this was back in the SRL era, pre-race time.
Yeah.
So SRL is down. So the backup was what was it? The race TV something.
SRTV.
SRTV. That's the one. So we're watching on SRTV, and of course this was a 20-minute delay when they used to 20-minute delay.
Yeah.
And they told us, if it's like within 10 seconds, we're gonna have to recount the frames because this is not an accurate timing thing. Not like SRL or race time is today. And sure enough, you guys tie. I look at
it was a literal tie.
It was a tie on SRTV.
It wasn't like 2 seconds difference, but it counts as a tie.
Nope.
No, it was a literal tie.
And I believe your reaction was, "Wait, I have to play again."
Oh my god.
I remember.
I always feel like this when I do tournaments. Is like I either want to win really really big or lose really really big.
You don't like the close.
I want to have a nice easy slide into victory, or just knock me out right away, please.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And of course, this was it was because this was back when they did they didn't do the round robin. They did the what they call it, the groups where you play each other. One plays 4, 2 plays 3, and then
GSL style groups.
And so you and Ace were in game 3, and you tie. So of course you have to play again. I remember you saying it was such a jet seat. The only detail I remember about the seat itself was you said you skipped Hype Cave.
Did I? Yeah. I don't remember the details.
Yeah, I remember you said you skipped Hype Cave, and I'm like, well, if you'd gone to Hype Cave, you would have lost. Which is crazy to think about. I may have to go back and watch that. I should have gone back and watched it before this, but that was a crazy situation. Then you have to play game 4 to decide who's going to move on into brackets. And I don't remember anything. I don't even know if I watched that race, to be honest. I just know that
I did not win.
You did not win. And then you were done. So
yay.
And then the next tournament comes up.
So that was in 2019, where I got knocked out in groups. Yep. I did not make it out of groups in any tournament until this year.
Right, because
this year in the Casual Boots tournament was the first time I ever made it past the group stage of any tournament ever.
Right, because you didn't play in 2021. I remember that. Yeah, that was the year of it was all hard mode, and I think people got very very tired of that mode. I don't know, and I know you didn't want to do it.
Now today we have like 5 different versions of what hard item pool means.
I know. And
when someone says we're gonna do a hard item pool race, I'm like, which one?
Yeah, but that was the old style where it was like, I think the biggest complaint coming out of that tournament was because the bows were still progressive, but you couldn't get silvers. Like you didn't know where your other bow was, so like you'd get a bow in a really dumb spot, and it turns out your opponent might have gotten a bow in an easy spot, but when you got there, it was a green 20, so you didn't know. I know that was a big complaint.
Nowadays they can change it.
Yep.
So that some items are replaced with green 20s and some aren't.
Which I think is what we've seen a lot more of.
They do it with the swords now.
Yep.
So like, there's only you only get 2 bottles or something, and the other 2 bottles turn into blue rupees, but your 4th sword turns into green 20. So that would have been a sword if you didn't find the other 3 first. And I think which can help in giving you more information and determining like, well, so it was possible for me to have done this thing instead of this thing, and then my opponent might have done this, and it gives you a better chance at determining where you are in the race and whether or not you should be making bigger gambles or playing it more safely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the next tournament was the first year in 2022. Was the first year of the 5 different modes, right? Yeah, that was. And that was the fun year of you got to play Asder, who now goes by Audraxis, and we got to do the no quick swap
races. Asder changed his name.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, but yeah, Audraxis. Going by they now, but you all play. We had I think somebody called it the Menu Master race.
Oh. Yeah, quick swap's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, we could talk about that. Well, we should talk about that a little bit.
Should we?
But I mean, I'm one of the few people that I might not say anti-quick swap, but I'm one of those people that I would be very happy if they had never allowed it. But yeah, we'll talk about those. I mean, you split those races. I think it was Audra was in that group, and Illis was in that group, and
Illis.
and
Yeah.
I'm blanking out on the fourth person. And you split it with everybody, and that was your undoing. Was it the fourth person was the person you split, and the other two owed. But I remember. I remember the menu master races between you two, and it was kind of fun. It was also, as a commentator, it's nice to actually see menus because it kind of keeps you honest.
I like menuing.
But yeah, and then this past year, you again in the main tournament, but you keep getting in, so at least there's that.
Well, I think every time I get in, though, I get in at a lower ranking, so I am getting worse over the years.
Or are you getting worse, or is everybody else getting better?
I must be getting worse.
But yeah, I mean, so you made brackets in the casual boots tournament. I didn't really follow that tournament, so why don't you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Oh, I don't know. It's just casual boots, I guess.
How far did you get?
Like round of 8, I think.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I think it was round of 8.
I mean, it's a slightly different tournament because it's everybody. There's no qualifiers, so everybody gets to play. But I do remember a lot of asyncs on your part.
Yeah. Just the time that I play on stream, like my stream, it's a time that's usually too late for North America and too early for Europe. So a lot of people have a trouble making that. But then when you get somebody in like Germany or something and like, I want to race at this time, and I'm like, okay, well that's 10 in the morning for me, and I've been asleep for 2 hours. So no, I won't. But you work with somebody and you try and find a time that's going to work best. So like sometimes I'll play like at the very back end of my stream, which will be like 6 or 7 in the morning for somebody.
And who knocked you out of that one?
I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. I have no idea.
Okay.
I believe that they actually went on to the finals, though, if I remember right.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
But you never did League.
No, I've never done League.
Is that just are you interested in League, or is this just not something that's your thing?
I just like it had to be like the right group of people, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with that. I've never done ALTTPR League myself either. I know sometimes it works out when people do the find a group thing, and I'm glad it does, or find a team. That's just not the road I would go. Have you ever peeked at that at all?
Yeah. There's been a couple times where somebody was looking for a group and I was like, I could join that group, but they chose somebody else. I mean, would you want me as a teammate refusing to use quick swap and complaining about every mode that isn't standard 7-7? I
don't care. I mean, I there are, I've joked with Audra that you and them and the one other non-quick swap person. I don't know if you know, F the Duck is also anti-quick swap to the point where he doesn't play anymore. Yeah, I joked that the three of you should be the anti-quick swap team, but I'm not sure. Audra's not a huge fan of co-op. Duck hasn't played since quick swap happened, and you've never been on a team.
Well, it's not my prerogative to be an anti-quick swap person. I don't like quick swap and I don't use it, but I'm not trying to convince everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, what made you decide? Did you just never try it, or did you when it came out?
I have literally never used quick swap.
And do you just leave it off? I assume.
Oh yeah, I just leave it off. I fundamentally disagree with quick swap's inclusion in randomizer. And I don't think it's a part of rando. Like it's not a rando thing. It's like we're all playing rando, and then also there's quick swap.
Yeah, I mean, and
it's a lot like how like so many of the hard item pools that we were talking about before also have non-progressive bows. Non-progressive bow has nothing to do with hard item pool. It's like a whole separate thing, but it gets lumped in together.
Yeah, I find that kind of weird. I mean, I personally don't like progressive bows, but like those are
it's fine.
They're very different things.
Liking progressive or non-progressive bows, like that's fine. Like, and that's a whole separate argument. Then we're going to make it hard item pool, and so that means non-progressive bows. Like, how is non-progressive bows harder? That they're not related, but they get lumped in together. And I think rando and quick swap are like that too.
So yeah, and you spend time.
I look at quick swap a lot like a lot of like ROM hack features that have been in some other like Link to the Past hacks before. One I can remember distinctly is where you could turn while dashing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Where inputting left or right doesn't stop your dash. You just turn on a dime and you keep dashing. And that would be something that could be added to the game that makes things faster and adds a new element of skill and replaces an old one where dash canceling, right?
Right.
Just like Quickswap does. But somehow that's too far, but Quickswap isn't. I don't know. I've never heard a convincing argument that would get me to say like, oh yeah, Quickswap makes sense. And I don't care enough about winning that I'm going to worry about it. I just rather not use Quickswap.
And you spend time learning how to menu properly.
Yeah. Getting my menu time down was like a huge self-accomplishment for me. You know, when I'm trying to like get better at the game and I see my menu time go from like 5 minutes to 3 minutes, it's like, yes, I practiced and I got better and I can see the results. And then Quickswap comes out and it's like, okay, wow, you had over 30 seconds of menu time. You suck.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For me, it even, as someone that wasn't a good menuer when Quickswap came out, it was kind of one of those things, well, everybody else is using it, I'm bad at menuing. For me, it took me a couple of years before I actually finally felt like I have some remote skill using it, because it's a different skill that you still have to learn.
Yeah, I think people overlook that. Overlook menuing as a skill because menuing in a vacuum isn't like the most exciting thing ever, right? I open the menu and I switch to something and then I close the menu. Compare that to like being able to do 0 cycle Argus. But if you look at like an NMG run, being able to menu well saves a lot more time than 0 cycle Argus.
Yes, it does. Which, it kind of makes me sad a little bit when the top NMG runners don't get that menu benefit that they would have if Quickswap wasn't on. I think that's menuing
in Randomizer is even more of a skill than in NMG because the menus in NMG are static.
Right. Yep.
I know exactly when this menu will occur. I know exactly what inputs to do. Where in Rando, it's like, okay, well, I'm switching to Ether, but is it up, down?
Yep.
Is it left, right, up? I have to look at my menu. I have to know.
Yeah,
and I have to know before I open that menu if I want to save time.
And sometimes you just have a bad menu.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, I can't just go the one space. Now I've got, like you're missing I know sometimes it's better to grab the boomerang just to have that extra thing in that menu slot to menu.
I do often pick up things like that, like the bug net or something. Like normally I would just skip it, but it actually makes menuing nicer if I have an extra item in that row.
So when I first knew you, you were living in Texas, right? And you up and left and went to Missouri.
Yes.
How did that all come about?
I met a girl and I moved there and then she cheated on me and now I don't live there anymore.
Yep. And then, now moved to Denver. And how is that working now? I mean, guys, shout outs to Ketsa and Pepper for for giving you a place to live. How's that all working out now?
Well, I actually moved to Denver to be with a girl. And we were together for a little bit and it just wasn't the right time. And so I ended up moving out and Ketsa took me in. But actually we're reconciled. And so I'm actually planning to hopefully soon move again.
Oh boy. So what's it like when you're just, because the first move was right at the beginning of the pandemic, if I remember correctly.
Oh, when I moved to Missouri, yeah. Yeah, there was like 3 people in the entire airport. I seriously had a whole plane to myself. I was the only passenger on an entire plane. That's
crazy. I've been on some empty planes, but not that empty.
Still took forever for the flight attendant to get to me, though.
And and then now didn't you just get a house, or did Ketsa?
We were looking to get a house, but the timing just didn't work out. We ran out of time before our apartment lease was up, so now we're renting a new place.
Okay,
but probably he'll be looking for a house again when that's over.
And that living situation working out pretty good for you?
Yeah, I have a whole basement to myself. It's actually really
nice.
There's a video on my Discord, or I did a tour.
Mm-hmm.
If you really wanted to see where I live. I have my my own space. It's about as big as, like a small, like a studio.
Yeah.
Just no kitchen down here.
I
have to go upstairs to microwave things.
But yeah, it seems like a
luckily,
pretty
as a hardcore gamer, I can survive off of like chocolate bars and Gatorade. That'll be all right.
Yeah. I don't know if that's gonna last.
Doritos and 7-Up, or it's Mountain Dew. No, it's Doritos and Mountain Dew. That's what it is.
Doritos and Mountain Dew. That sounds like a great diet. Back to the viewer seeds.
Sure.
What are your favorite things when you get into viewer seeds, and what are the things we'll start with what are your favorite things, and then we'll get to the bad ones.
So I get viewer seeds for a lot of different reasons. Like sometimes it's somebody who they're trying to get better. And so they give me a seed that they thought they didn't do well at, or they thought they did do well, and they want to see how I route differently. And so they can compare it later. Usually people who they're not at that space where they feel like they want to join like an actual race. So this is a way for them to compare times with somebody else who's more seasoned. Sometimes I get viewer seeds because they think it's funny, just like a funny item placement, like both rods were on Laser Bridge, so like hilariously rare locations. Or you got like 3 vanilla items in their exact big chests, like, oh my God, what a seed. But most of the time I get viewer seeds because there's something on pedestal, or it's a tile room big key, or the ice rod is in a really terrible location, just like it's usually from people who just don't play that much, or at least not as much as I do. And they're not tired of these things yet. They still think they're funny.
Yeah, I mean, we see that in Twitch chat all the time. The rooting for the pedestal seed.
Yeah,
which isn't even the worst thing you can get in a seed, to be honest. Like there are far worse things than pedestal seeds, but
definitely. I did a viewer seed last night. It ended up being like go mode ether on pedestal, and we still finished it in like 140, which is like just like a slower normal seed. But I mean, I've had regular 7-7 opens that took me over 2 hours before. So
yeah, I mean,
it could be worse.
It's got to be a bit of a different beast, because I remember watching you playing a seed. I don't remember when this was, but you didn't have the boots and you're going into GT, and I'm sitting there going, normally it's a 1 in 22 chance that the big key is going to be on the torch.
It's 22 and 22.
No, it's the viewer seed. Of course, the big key was on the torch. So of course you have to go find the boots, because
Yeah, no, I think trying to get better as like a racer, it's for me personally trying to like separate race seeds from viewer seeds, because viewer seeds do have a higher propensity for being terrible seeds like that, because they're cherry picked.
Yeah,
viewer A played like 10 seeds and they gave me this one, and they picked that one for a reason, right?
Yep.
So it's usually a terrible seed, where like a race seed is just any one of the 10.
Yep.
So in a race, I feel a lot more comfortable making a gamble, like not checking the rest of Laser Bridge, when the only thing I could possibly need is boots for a GT big key on Torch.
Right. But in a viewer seed,
I'm checking Laser Bridge. We're not falling for that again.
Yeah. And how hard is it to make those distinctions? Do you ever?
I try not to metagame. I try not to like, okay, well, it's definitely a ped seed, so I'm just going to go pull ped right now. Like, I try to treat it like I would a normal seed, but you can't help it after a time when the only 3 things you have left are like Graveyard Ledge and left side swamp and pedestal. I'm going to go check ped real quick.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Although left side swamp is also one of those nasty locations that nobody likes.
Well, I think left side swamp is nasty for racing, but like for casual play, it doesn't feel as nasty, because in like a casual player doesn't skip things.
Right.
They're not timing themselves. They're not trying to finish it as fast as possible. So they don't recognize that this is the kind of thing that would burn somebody who's trying to win a race.
Yeah, I think you've run into that with hover seeds, where somebody will give you a hover seed and they just don't even know that that's what it is.
Yeah. And in my genius, I always manage to skip the hook shot somehow.
Of course. Because, for them, they just know they need the hook shot and they're just going to go get it wherever it is. And,
nowadays we have Molder and Bounce, which is kind of a double-edged sword. You know,
I know that's your favorite.
on the dull side, I can now finish a hookless seed without hovering, which is great because I can't hover. And then on the sharp side of the double-edged sword, I have to do Moldorm Bounce,
which I know is not your favorite.
No, it's the worst. I would honestly rather they just ban Moldorm Bounce, and then I would just auto lose every hover seed.
As long as, if you're playing a hover. It's still funny if you don't hover.
I would gladly trade those losses for not having to Moldorm Bounce anymore.
I mean, you could just go find the hook shot.
Well, I lose either way.
That's fair. Actually, I should bring up a fun... you have a certain command about a certain player that believes you got him banned.
Oh, Michael 1985.
Yeah, Michael 1985.
Are we allowed to curse?
Yeah.
We can curse?
We can curse.
Okay. Michael doesn't like me.
No, he does not.
So it was like 2 years ago. It was like 2 years ago.
Gosh,
I can't
be longer
remember.
than that.
At least 2 years ago.
Okay, at least 2 years ago.
But it was just some random Speed Gaming Daily race. And there was like 15 people who joined. Michael was one of them. I was one of them. And the seed was it was flippers on Lumberjack to get hookshot on left side swamp to cross the Moldorm 2 gap. Flippers led to literally nothing else. The hookshot led to literally nothing else. So you're in go mode minus hookshot real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And now you scour the game looking for the hookshot. But you have to kill Aga, grab flippers, and go to left side.
Pre-Moldorm Bounce? It was either pre-Moldorm Bounce
there was no Moldorm Bounce.
Yeah, okay.
It was not discovered yet. Nobody could Moldorm Bounce. You either hovered or you killed Aga and did Pendant Swamp. Those are the only two options. So when I saw Michael finish, way before I was done, I just thought, oh, he hovered. Right? Like, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Like, why else would his finish time be so much better than literally everyone else in the race? He just hovered, right? Obviously. And then I think he ended up winning that race by like 10 or 15 minutes or something. So after
there were hovers in the race, right? There were people that,
After the race was over, I put in my comment in race time at Racing Council. I was pinging Racing Council because it was a hover seed, and people always blow up Racing Council chat. Whenever there's a like a high profile hover seed.
Yep.
So Michael saw this comment and he thought something entirely different. He thought that I was saying, "Hey, Racing Council, this guy here was cheating." He thought I was calling him out for being a cheater. So, but at the time, I thought he just hovered. Turns out he did not hover.
Nope.
This guy who won the race by 10, 15 minutes and beat other people who did not hover. He just killed Aga and went straight to Pendant Swamp.
That's a little bit suspicious.
So, unbeknownst to him or anyone else, I actually did report him for cheating when I saw that what he had done in that race, because that's ridiculous.
I mean, that's the way you're supposed to handle cheating.
Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you do something stupid and it saves tons of time. I won in my first main tournament. I won one of the qualifiers because I went straight to catfish, right?
Right.
And I just straight up won the qualifier and got like 100 score or whatever. And I should not be winning qualifiers in 2019.
I mean, yeah.
But sometimes things like that happen. Sometimes you just get lucky.
Yep.
Nobody trips and falls into an Aga kill to go into left side Pendant Swamp to find go mode hookshot in a hover seed. It doesn't happen.
No.
So I actually did report him. But
so as soon as you see the swamp's a pendant, you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about those flippers. I can just go ahead and play, and everything else I won't need it because Ice Pals you don't hard require flippers for.
So it turns out he had actually already been under investigation. He was on like a pretty sick win streak on the ladder as well. So like the Racing Council and the people who the powers that be, they were already looking at him. So this was just one more nail in his coffin. And they came out and said he was cheating. He is banned from racing. And that's the end of it. Well, he had to have one last stream. So he had like this, he did one last stream on his stream for like, I want to say it was like 4 hours long or something, where he did nothing but bitch about me. Just me. I caused this.
Because it was all your fault.
Like he was under investigation before I knew he existed. And my comment had nothing to do with him. But somehow it was all my fault. And I discovered earlier this year that Dunka had actually saved a clip of his rant.
Mm-hmm.
So I downloaded the clip and made
in
it a sound
fact,
file.
I think it came out when the whole blow up was going on. We found out that that's a whole different story that we're not going to get into.
I saved the clip and I made it an audio file. And now if you cheer 1985 bits, $20 worth of bits on my stream, you get to hear Michael say, "Fuck you, Koi, fuck you, and your face."
Well, and the best part is there's like this pause.
Yeah, it's just like this really awkward pause at the end. Then "fuck you and your face."
Yeah, and people have fun with that.
Oh no, yeah, Michael has made me at least $200.
See, there you go.
Thank you, Michael. You're a wonderful human being.
Somewhere you did well.
A national treasure of I think he was German. I guess national treasure of Germany, sure.
But yeah, I remember when that happened because like the whole cheating thing. Just don't. People just don't. I mean, it was weird when Tark becomes a thing, and all of a sudden we're catching a whole bunch of cheaters. I almost like people were trying to test to see if Tark was going to work as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. I don't know. I am not on the council. I don't want to be, or whatever. I don't want to be one of the 5 Tark people. I want no part of that. As an SMZ3 mod and an SM, I have to pay attention to it there. I don't want to pay attention to it here. Yeah, so just don't. It's a lot of work for us. For people, just don't. But yeah, that's definitely one of the fun features of your stream. Now on your stream, you do branch out a little bit more. You do your goals, your sub goals,
right.
Which you do hit every month, which is good.
Well, usually barely, but yeah, we haven't missed any yet.
What's your favorite goal? Because you can't do the same thing every month. But what's the favorite goal you've done in the past, or do bring out on occasion?
Not sure. Usually, for the sub goal, I usually try to do something like Link to the Past related.
Yep.
Or at least Zelda.
Yep. Because you've done Ocarina of Time stuff for your goal.
Sometimes we just do like super terrible, like crisscross, randomizer, damage shuffle, nonsense seeds. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we do Ocarina of Time with some new setting. I think most recently we did Ocarina of Time with the enemy shuffle on the Ship of Harkinian build.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The 60 FPS 4K texture one. Enemy shuffle in Ocarina of Time is much different. It's real dope. I want to do the enemy soul rando. I think is a new thing that they came out with, where a particular enemy type existing in the world is a drop. So to get Stalfos Knights to appear in your game, you have to find the enemy Stalfos Knight's soul in a chest somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So like in dungeons, you have a kill room where you have to kill Stalfos Knights. You can't get past the kill room if there's no Stalfos Knights there.
Oh, okay.
So, you keep finding items throughout the game to make enemies appear and make the game more complicated. I thought that was cool. I want to try that one. I don't know when we'll do that, but as far as like my favorite sub goal we've ever done, I'm not sure.
I mean, I know you do sometimes do the SMZ3. Those are amusing for me because
I like SMZ3, but it's hard.
Yeah, and I'm still planning on doing some tutorials for specific. Like you've inspired me in particular. With some ideas for tutorials for things that those of us that play Super Metroid just take for granted. Because I'll watch you struggle through them like, that we take that for granted. It's just little things like mid-air morphs and
the way tech is done is it's a night and day between Link to the Past and SMZ3. Both games have incredibly high skill ceilings.
Yes.
Those 1, 2, 3 NMG times, like those are just amazing how anybody is able to even play that well.
I know, it's amazing.
To get to like that 135 to 130 range on NMG, that's very doable for most people. Mm-hmm. Most people could, if they put in the time and effort, could get to that point. But then to go past that is so difficult. But I feel like in Super Metroid,
I mean, we have kind of the same type of threshold, I would say.
Well, I think the equivalent of like the 135 time in NMG is way, way higher in Super Metroid.
It's equivalent for 135. I would say is about an hour.
like to get to the point where you can do all the things, even if you can't do them all well, is I feel like it's beyond my reach for Super Metroid.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And like, but in Link to the Past, I could always see like, okay, I could do that. I have to learn it, but I could do that. But I see people do like the Escape from Alcatraz, Morphball. I'm like, I can't do that. What?
No, I mean that's it. Yeah,
you just see these players like Oats and Goats. He just does it first try every freaking time. How do you do that?
I wish I could give you an answer to that, but I went from not being able to do it at all and then practicing a bunch of mid-air morphs elsewhere in the game, and then suddenly I could do it, and I can't explain why. So, but yeah, that is definitely.
I still fail to get the both items at the end of the gauntlet.
Oh yeah, no, that's
yeah. Where you have to like you're on the collapsing floor, and there's an item to the left and item to the right. I oftentimes still miss one or both of those.
Well, it's funny because the top players are actually a little more likely to miss that because they don't do the safety strat, which is, line yourself up in the middle, shoot down. Like I believe I sent you a picture at one point for that. Whereas what they do is they just blind jump it, and, they've done it enough times that they can land in the middle, but it's also easier to mess that up. So like that's a run killer in Hundo in particular. If you
I learned enough of Super Metroid that I can get through a whole rando seed. I'm not going to play it particularly fast or anything, and I'm gonna go out of my way to pick up energy tanks.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's funny when
I'm not going to Ridley with less than 10 each.
When I watch you play SMZ3, it's like. Because I lurk on your stream a lot. Like, I don't, because you have, you have plenty of people talking in your stream most of the time. So I feel like it's for me, it's a really nice place to just sit back, relax, lurk, and just enjoy watching somebody play Link to the Past. But when you play SMZ3, the SM part, I tend to feel like I have to say something. Sometimes just to correct your viewers. It's really funny. And then
what are you talking about? Chat is super smart and they know all the things. I've never known chat to tell a lie.
And then I remember there was one time when I was helping you out with the SM stuff, and then suddenly got to Link to the Past, and I was back to lurk mode, and somebody's like, "Well, where's Tracy?" I'm like, "He doesn't need my help in Link to the Past. Like he knows what he's doing there. He's better than I am." So yeah, so that it is, it's fun to watch you do that, and I definitely learn. I mean, I get a different insight watching you play that game because of because you're not good at the Super Metroid part, but I learn the places where, like I said, we as Super Metroid players, we take some of that stuff for granted because we've done it for so long. I started on SM before I got to Link to the Past, so
I think it's actually still worse in the Ocarina of Time community. Watching like people taking stuff for granted in the videos and how tos and stuff.
Wow.
Like I was trying to watch a video on how to kill Volvagia with bombs, and I swear, from the word go, I had no idea what he was doing.
Well, maybe that's your next set of videos.
I'm watching a video of somebody explaining how to do something, and I still don't know what to do. Like something's wrong here. There's some disconnect.
And I think the SM videos are a little bit like that, just because that there's a certain amount of skill that's expected of you. And, for a lot of people playing SMZ3 for the first time, having only played Link to the Past, that's they don't have that background of just playing the game over and over again in that way. But it is fun to watch you. I still don't understand how anyone could play SM on keyboard.
Keyboard it's the same thing as a controller.
It is.
I have more fingers to press the buttons. I use 6 fingers instead of 2.
Yeah. Now, you've just always. Did you start on? I mean, obviously you played as a kid on a controller. But when you started playing, did you go straight to the emulator keyboard combination, or did you when you started playing more recently?
Like when I first discovered like emulators and like playing these older games on my computer, I didn't have a controller. You had to play with keyboard, you know?
Yep.
Like, so the same keys I used to play Windows pinball in my typing class at school as what they're the keys that I use to play Super Nintendo games. So, over the years of playing MMOs and stuff, I do have wrist issues, and
Yep.
and anything with a lot of heavy thumb usage, like an analog stick or the D-pad,
Yep.
it does cause a lot of pain in my wrist very quickly.
Mhm.
So playing on a keyboard does help.
Now, when you play games, because you do play other games,
Yeah, no,
like on the Switch.
I can play through the pain, but
Okay, it's just every night.
I'm playing Randomizer, 6 hours a day, 5 days, 6 days a week.
Yeah, and to be honest, the Switch controllers are not the friendliest in terms of wrists in general.
Oh, the Switch controller. I actually have a Pro 2, 8-bit Pro 2 that I play with on my Switch games with.
Does that work out pretty well for you?
Oh yeah, it's a much more comfortable controller. It's like the DualShock layout.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like the DualShock ergonomic form, like the way it's shaped, and then the buttons are laid out like Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like a PlayStation controller, but it says A, B, X, Y instead of triangle, square, X, or cross, square, or circle.
Now, of course, playing on a keyboard means you're playing on emulator, because there isn't a way to. I actually have a friend that's working on a way to play keyboard on his Super Nintendo, because he swears by SM on keyboard, but plays Link to the Past on controller. Go figure.
I mean, there should be a way, right? Like all a controller is doing is like, when I push this button and these two pieces of metal touch, then send this information to the game.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of coming up with an adapter to take the keyboard.
It might not be something that already exists, but it should be something that can exist.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what he's working on. If you had the option to do something like that, would you?
Oh, to play on a console with a keyboard? I wouldn't know what the benefit would be.
Mm-hmm.
It would be more difficult to stream, because I'd have to have a capture card.
Right, that's true.
I'd have to. Well, I have a capture card for my Switch, but I'd have to like switch everything around so I can capture my Super NT or whatever. Which I actually do have. I do have a Super NT.
I remember you talking about that.
It just sits in its box.
There, right?
It's pretty.
I mean, someday maybe you'll find a use for it. Maybe
someday, yeah.
In the meantime, it can sit and look pretty. I recently switched to a Super NT, and so far it's been pretty good.
It was kind of an impulse purchase.
Mm-hmm.
It's because like analog, they're not on sale all the time.
No, not at all.
When they're on sale, like, okay, it's gonna be on sale for like 5 minutes. Get yours now. Oh, they're gone. Sorry.
Yeah, that was not this past SG Live, but the one before. Word got around that they were selling Super NTs, and a bunch of us at the convention bought our Super NTs.
That's probably when I bought mine, actually.
But yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, any thought ever coming? I mean, you've never done a GDQ, SGL, anything like that?
No, I haven't. I don't possess the skills necessary to be a runner at events like these.
Mm-hmm. And SG Live, you don't have to have the skill; you just enter. But yeah, GDQ is a little different.
Yeah, GDQ, they don't always have the top person in each game playing, but it's usually one of the top, top 10 or something. For sure. Because it's the showcase. How awesome all these runners are. And I certainly wouldn't qualify. But to attend as just an audience member, I guess it's just not something that appeals to me too much.
Okay.
I like watching in the comfort of my own home. I don't want to wear pants. Is that okay? Can I say that?
You can say that. No. Is this a secret? I mean, I know you've got your pants fell off clip, but is there some sort of secret that if we actually looked below on the webcam, is there something you're not telling your viewers?
It doesn't really seem like an appropriate topic of conversation there, Tracie.
All right, we'll let that be a secret to everybody watching you. All right, well. We'll end it with this, because this is, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to any of the podcasts that Fear's done, but his big thing, and I really enjoy this part, is he always likes to ask about tilt. So I'm going to ask you the tilt question. How do you deal with tilt? What makes you tilt? Go ahead.
Well, okay, so I tilt just like everybody else does.
Yep.
I think that I probably get over it more quickly, because I a normal day for me is playing 3 seeds in a row. And you can't take that from one seed to the other. Otherwise, if you tilt too far, you're just going to keep falling and falling and falling over the next 6 hours. So, I usually, just watching the credits and playing a crossword puzzle or something, just wipes the last seed completely out of my memory, and I can start fresh on the new one. But in the moment, tilt is rough.
I'm for sure.
And the things that tilt me the most are when I make an uncharacteristic mistake or something that I deem uncharacteristic of me.
Okay. Yeah.
So like if I walk into the Mothula fight on 7 hearts, green mail, master sword, I should not die.
No. You've done this fight before.
I've been playing this game for 5 years. I've killed him with way less equipment. I should not die. But it still happens. And I die.
Even,
and I'm like, why did I do this? This is all my fault. I'm a terrible player. I can never play. I can't come back from this. We lost so much time. We're gonna lose by an hour now. In the moment, it's very hard to overcome that, and then every little mistake you make after that, it calls back your memory of that big mistake.
Yep.
And then things that are out of your control, like, oh well, that enemy just had to walk left. He could have walked up, right, or down, but no, he had to walk left. So now I'm on 3 hearts instead of 5. And it all starts adding up. And then finally the race ends, and it turns out I won by 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, all right. I guess maybe I overreacted, you guys.
I mean,
or I lose by 20 minutes, and it's like, okay, maybe that didn't matter as much as I thought it was going to matter.
Yeah, and one of the things I notice in your stream is whenever those things happen, your chat tries to say, "Oh no, your opponent could have made the mistakes and done this and the other thing," and you're like, "No." And I'm sitting there going, "Yeah, it could happen." And then sometimes, and I'm usually of the opinion that okay, you're probably right, and then you go and you still win the race. And I'm like, oh well.
So in my brain,
does that make it worse or worse when your viewers are like,
makes it worse. In my brain, my opponent is always Goomba.
Okay, I mean that's
every time. When I close my eyes, it is Goomba on the other side of the game, who's playing against me. And Goomba don't make mistakes like that.
No, not against people.
So when I make those mistakes, I feel like there's no way I can win. But the truth of the matter is that it's not Goomba. Goomba doesn't even play on the ladder. I never see him anymore. So
and he'd probably be playing earlier in the day anyway.
Yeah, so my opponent is probably somebody who is more human like me and makes more mistakes like me. So it is reasonable to think that they would also make that mistake or another one like it or something. They would also lose some time here or there or somewhere else.
And
but I don't like to approach it from that point of view.
No.
It's like, okay, guys, we're gonna win as long as my opponent sucks more than I do.
Right? I mean, it's a true statement, but that's not really what you want to. It's really not what you're trying to project. I
want to win because I played well, not because my opponent played poorly.
I don't think it feels good when you win despite making a bunch of mistakes because your opponent just
when I've been complaining for the last hour about how I last located the GT climb in this Crosskeys seed. There's no way we could possibly win. My opponent definitely went here first thing. It's all over, chat. I don't even know why I'm playing this more. I should totally just forfeit. And then it turns out my opponent forgot where Sahasrahla was.
Yep.
And he finished like 20 minutes after me. It's like I don't feel good about that. I shouldn't have won.
Yeah. Yep. I've had this similar thing where I you go to the done and nobody else is playing. So you're like, well, I must have lost, right? It turns out your opponent, like you said, forgot Saha or forgot where something else was, and they forfeited an hour ago.
I think maybe like 2 or 3 times my opponent had forfeit before I finished.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that much.
No, it's very rare. Most forfeits are because they saw their opponent was done.
Yep. Yeah, that's my experience as well. Now, I don't know about you. I don't have that on.
No, I don't.
That's I don't want to know.
There's no way. But it's funny. Like I don't have that on because I don't want to know when people finish, but I can't help myself. I'm staring at the Discord, watching, like Furious Magic is typing. Stop it, Furious!
That must be my opponent, right?
We have the button now, so people don't type as much as they used to because we get the button now. So I don't know what I'm going to be looking at.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining and let me interview Koi. This was absolutely a pleasure. And I hope Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And again, thank you to Fear Agent for letting me test the waters as a guest host, and you for kind of being my guinea pig. So,
Sure.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks, Tracie.
Well, let me know what you thought about the interview with Tracie. I'm sure Tracie would love to hear feedback on how she did. I thought she did great. Any thoughts on the episode, you can post them in the Discord. 216pod.com has all the links that you need. Remember, we've got pre-registration open for the 216 co-op Crosskeys tournament. So get your teams registered, and I think that's going to do it. Again, thanks to everyone involved. Thanks to Tracie. Thanks to Coy. Thanks to you, the listener. And we'll see you soon.